Café Anyway. There we are, Café.
It's Mike's Daily Podcast.
Welcome to episode 2821 here at Café Anyway.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
In Podcastro Valleyton. It's Mike Matthews in the last place on earth. In the land of Ameritopica. It's the land of mirth. And it's Mike talking about how stand-up comedy is tough. Because you don't know how come comedy is
Mike's Daily Podcast.
comedy. Such a subjective thing. It's a preoccupation
Mike's
of a lot of people.
Daily
And stand-up comics,
Podcast.
their ultimate goal was to write and star in their own sitcom. Just like Jerry, just like Raymond. Stand-up comedy has tripled over the last decade. Robin Williams and Jerry Seinfeld followed the path to become rich and famous. Stand-up comedy world. Now comedians use Netflix, YouTube, social media, and this particular device, the podcast, to build an audience. Ticket sales for live comedy has boomed. Really? No, I'm serious, okay? Go back to 2012. It was 371 million. There we go. Dollars. That's how much money was made with live comedy. $371 million. Multiply by 3 that number, and you will have what it is today. Yes, around $909 million. The internet transformed the stand-up comedy business into big business. There's that guy, Bert Kreischer. He grossed about $33 million on tour last year. Netflix started funding new stand-up comedy in 2013, so we have them to thank for some of this.
And here's today's podcast picture.
As well as podcasts, as well as YouTube channels. People can just upload whatever crazy they'd like. Hey, the podcast picture is not of a comedian. Well, this cat did make us laugh. He was a wonderful cat. He's no longer with us. Rodler. And I said I was going to post a picture of him from 2 years ago. A happier time. He disappeared. We don't know exactly what happened to him, but we fear the worst. So it's been over 2 years, and we're thinking about Rodler, named after that beer that's mixed with lemonade or some kind of lemon drink. The late great Basil the Boxer did not know Rodler, but we got Rodler probably about a year after we lost Basil. So it was all in that time zone, time frame, pets. It's so sad when you lose them. So there's a couple other people, some other specials that Netflix bought from comedians. I don't know how to say their names. Oh, Aziz Ansari, I know him. Yeah, some of you love him. There you go, cheering him on. Stand-up was a low-cost way to get hours of programming for Netflix. And they got some famous names to be on the platform. They paid big names, Netflix did, like Chappelle and Seinfeld. Each one got $20 million for just one special. And they released 50 or more specials in 2017, made people laugh like that. 2018 and 2019, they released 50 or more specials in those years. They supplanted appearances on Johnny Carson, David Letterman, and Jay Leno as the path to stardom. Oh yeah, all the old timers, all the old guys. Yeah, if you want to become a star, you gotta be on Carson. And that's true. Drew Carey, he swears by that. That's what got him popular. That people today go, who's he?
Wow, Shuts, wow.
Price is Right. That's who that is. Wow, Shuts, wow. But no longer. Besides, Jimmy Fallon, he's basically replaced all those guys, Johnny Carson, David Letterman, Jay Leno, and then you've got Stephen Colbert. So it just doesn't matter anymore, those guys. It's all about being on Netflix, having a popular YouTube channel, popular podcast. But Netflix specials are not the primary source of income. Comedians need to write a new hour of material for Netflix, and then they have to have new material for when they go back on tour, because people are going to know their stuff by heart.
The Nosebleed section.
That's my news for you. And that's what put me off with comedy, with stand-up comedy, was when I went to see Jeff Foxworthy, Bill Engvall, and those other two guys. I always forget. Oh, Larry the Cable Guy and the other guy. I always forget his name. He's drunk on stage, basically. But it was a popular tour, but nobody changed up their comedy routine except for the drunk guy on stage. I think every night he really improv the heck out of that. But everybody else was just following a script in their head. So much so that there was a guy. Here's my tip about that. Sitting next to me during one of the concerts at the Thousand Oaks Civic Arts Auditorium Plaza thing that they call it. I forget. I haven't lived in Thousand Oaks in decades, so I know it was something to that effect. Anyway, it's a big venue. It took over this land that used to be a big jungle park.
Might rip someone a new one.
With animals. And I guess one of the animals mauled a famous person's son or something, and they closed it down. And these parks that take care of these animals, I know some of these animals have nowhere else to go. So I ripped someone a new one. But gosh, they should all take so much better care of these animals. It's sad when I go to a zoo. They're supposed to.
I just want to thank everyone for joining us here on this show. This is great.
But back to this performance place in Thousand Oaks. And I'm watching this comedy tour, the Redneck Comedy Tour or something like that. And this guy sitting next to me is saying every single joke that the comedian's about to say. Because he's seen it so many times. Bill Engvall, never switched up his stuff. Jeff Foxworthy did the, you might be a redneck. And then Bill Engvall would do, here's your sign. That type of comedy.
For your entertainment.
Oh, that's not necessary.
The one.
They know who
the
it is.
only.
No, you don't have to.
Mike Matthews.
Oh, thank you. All right. Well, so you don't own a home. I'm here to tell you, you don't need to own a home. It's nice to have a little extra space. What's nice about not having a lot of extra stuff that requires that extra space is then you can go and live your life and not be tied down by your material possessions. I believe Jesus had a thing or two to say about material possessions, as did some other famous religious type spiritual advisors.
Mike's Scavenger Hunt.
As we go outside a Café Anyway, where we bring you Mike's Daily Podcast somewhere in Podcaster Valley, I believe that the saying goes, don't let your possessions possess you. And we're outside of Café Anyway somewhere in Podcaster Valleyton. Okay, here's the thing though. Some people, you're not going to be able to own a house. And you just should put that money away, save it, put it into a better investment. My ridiculous random post is just about every financial expert will tell you, unless they're in the pocket of the real estate industry in some way, if they are a real estate agent, or if they have a wife or a husband that is, and they want you to buy a house from them. But the fact is that there are much better investments to do in the stock market and other type things, financial investments, than a home. Homes cost a lot of money. You got to do the repair. You got to constantly pay people to fix things that you could try fixing it yourself, but you're probably going to make it worse. That's my little uplifting life coach lesson for you today. No, either you do a ton of research or you're going to make a mistake. I know you no matter how much you watch or read, you're still going to make a mistake. I've done it ad infinitum a lot. So that's the only place.
MTV News. You hear it first.
This music news for you, and I'm Kurt Loder. No, but The Sims is the only place now where Americans think they'll be able to own a home. A record low 40% of renters believe they'll never own a home. And that's okay. I'm here to tell you. Why? Blame jaw-dropping mortgage rates and listing prices, which is interesting. We thought during COVID, after COVID, prices would go down. They have not. Almost 75% of renters feel that getting a mortgage is too difficult, compared to 51% that believe that in 2021. But that's when interest rates were a near zero.
Wine.
Well, I like
The whiny white man wine list.
I can't afford a home. The only reason why I needed to get a house was because I got married and I was with someone who really believed in owning a home, getting a dog, raising a family, having a bunch of kids. Oh, happy Mother's Day to her, by the way, because she eventually did have kids, but not with me. So that's the thing. That's the key. But, you know, she ended up renting for quite a while after we divorced and after she started a new family with someone else. They were renting for a while. So, see, it's okay to...
Random.
Americans expect mortgage rates to keep climbing and home prices to go up at least 5% in the next year. And this is a worry for U-Haul because only 13% expect to move in the next year. Only 13%. Yours truly, kind of thinking about it, would kind of like to do it, to move. Homeowners are reluctant to move for fear of having to take out a new mortgage or a higher rate. Last year, almost 6 out of 10.
Interesting.
Yes. Oh, it is pretty interesting. Almost 6 out of 10 homeowners last year had a mortgage rate lower than 4%. So now much higher. Hey, I was talking last podcast about how Costco is selling gold. That just does not seem right, because in the end, Costco basically is a huge grocery store. Would you imagine buying gold at a grocery store? Could you imagine that store having to have the security to protect that? Now, as it is, grocery stores, liquor stores get robbed all the time.
The Myclopedia Insanika.
I'm looking in my Myclopedia Insanika is what I wanted to say. I don't know the security that Costco has. I am hoping they have some good security. All I see are a bunch of Costco workers running around in a frantic mess on their walkie-talkies. That's the only place to see walkie-talkies anymore, it seems. So I don't know if this is a good idea for Costco to sell gold. But on Friday, last week, I was
Matthew's
there.
News.
This is my news. And I heard one of the workers say, "We're out of gold." And then it got relayed down the line to all the other employees. "We're out of gold today. We're out of gold." And I looked, and right behind the guy was the room that they had the gold. And they were like in these it looked like little chocolate bars in the paper type thing. What? That's not safe. Silicon Valley CEO Elizabeth Holmes has shaved more months from her initial 11-year sentence for wire fraud and conspiracy. Remember that fun mess at Theranos? And is due to be released 2 years earlier than expected. She's 40, so she'll be out by 2032. All you creepy old men interested in that. The streaming future that Disney promised is finally here as cable TV decays. Disney nearly turned a profit in the last quarter, losing just $18 million between Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN Plus. That's an improvement from a loss of $659 million a year ago. I'd much rather lose 18 than 659 million. I don't want to lose any millions, but traditional TV is dying on the vine. That from Rob Black.
Baloney.
I produce his podcast. He is heard on AM 1220 KDOW weekday mornings, and he is seen on TV Monday through Thursday on Cron TV in the 9 o'clock hour. Instacart stock went up on restaurant food delivery. Uber Eats is now delivering restaurant orders from the Instacart app. And I noticed when I paid at the restaurant over the weekend, doing that Mother's Day thing, doing that thing where going out to eat is so expensive now, and pouring a root beer for you right now to help you over that fact. But yes, it's so awesomely high. But when I paid the bill and then it asked if I wanted a receipt, I had it emailed to me. Immediately, I find out that they're using a Toast app system. The Toast app, which is not as popular as Uber Eats and the other one, the what's it called? The not Instacart. Oh, the DoorDash. Yes. But I seem to see it everywhere. Like all the restaurants locally. Whoops. Sorry. Somebody just got mad at that news and broke one of the windows at Café Anyway. But yeah, a lot of the local restaurants are using that app, the Toast app. And Toast was a hilarious British show with Matt Berry. But unfortunately, Matt Berry is going to just do this one character in everything he does. Like, apparently he plays himself doing that same Toast character in that Fallout TV show that seems to be somewhat popular on Prime. And one other thing that seems to be popular, of course, is gaming. Nintendo new Switch console will be coming out this year.
What in the world was that about?
It's a video game type playing thing. It'll be in time for Christmas, as the current Switch is losing popularity since it is more than 7 years old. Outside of Café Anyway, somewhere in Podcaster Valley, look who is here.
Hello, this is Chely Shoehart, gift shop supervisor. I didn't mean to break that snow globe a little while ago, Mike Matthews. I was just really upset when you were talking about DoorDash.
Why is that?
I ordered something last night and I still haven't gotten it, Mike Matthews.
Oh. Hopefully it wasn't something that will taste horrible when it is cold.
No, it was ice cream.
Excellent. Wait, what? Hey, look who else is here.
Oh, Mike, this is Floyd the Floorman.
And this is John Deere, the engineer. Mike, I seem to hear some kind of beat playing underneath us, some kind of music of some sort.
What's the cliche of the week?
Oh, yeah, you know what?
What's the cliche of the week?
This is an interesting thing you might find.
What's the cliche of the week?
Interesting. John Deere, the engineer.
What's the cliche of the week?
Microsoft is releasing its 4th annual Work Trend Index, partnered with LinkedIn, a comprehensive view of how AI is not only reshaping work, but the labor market more broadly. For the first year ever, the data is looking specifically at how people in the Bay Area use generative AI. It looks like employees want AI at work. 82% of knowledge workers based in the Bay Area use generative AI at work versus 71% of U.S. knowledge workers. And you remember about a year ago, we still had to keep saying artificial intelligence all the time. Now we just say AI. It is part of our lingo. It's part of the lexicon. It's in the dictionary. 86% of leaders say they'd rather hire a less experienced candidate with AI skills than a more experienced candidate without them. For employees, AI raised the bar and breaks their career ceiling. 86% of Bay Area leaders say they'd rather hire a less experienced candidate with AI skills than a more experienced candidate without them. I think I just said the same thing twice. I punched myself for doing that. But the rise of the AI power user and what they reveal about the future is that they're more likely to receive a training on prompts, 30%, and how to use AI for their specific role or function, about 10% more likely. And about 50% and 30% are more likely for US AI power users. That from Janet Haney, who is from janethaney.com, had those statistics for me. Okay. We'll see. AI. People are learning it. They're getting used to it. They're yapping all about it. And some of the mundane things that we used to do, it's always the mundane things that get taken away. Now, does this mean that the people that work at the fast food restaurants in California that are now getting paid $20 an hour, that their employers, in wanting to not lose all the money they have because they got to pay them more, they're probably going to install this type of equipment that is running on AI? And that means that there's no such thing. This is the other cliche. Oh, you're going to get big. If you want to be a comedian, you got to be on Carson. Now the other cliche about, oh, you know, you're flipping burgers. You're just making minimum wage because you're just flipping burgers. Well, it's no longer just flipping burgers. You got to be an AI expert at these fast food restaurants. You got to know how this equipment works. You got to be technically minded. So with more skills comes more money, hopefully. But that seems to be the case of what's going on here in California. But we'll see. It's always good to improve what you know and learn more. But the one area to learn the most about is this AI. Get in on that. What do you think about that? Here's a phone number to call right now.
Call Mike at the Café Anyway hotline. Area code 510-228-4640. Will you shut ups? Liberty Nation Freedom Phone for All.
And with all things Mike's Daily Podcast, the past podcasts, podcast pictures, and other cool stuff you can find at my website, mikesdailypodcast.com.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at mikesdailypodcast.com.
Email Mike now at mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com.
See you tomorrow. Bye.
Certainly. Here are some AI jokes to tickle your funny bone. Yo mama's so stupid. If she was a computer, she would be called AD instead of AI. Why are artificial intelligences in movies always female? Because they're never wrong.